When it comes to analyzing stocks, one of the most important things or ways of analysis that you can apply is vertical analysis. And one of the key questions that comes up when you're trying to do this type of analysis is, what is the vertical analysis formula? In this video, I'm going to share with you everything that you need to know about the vertical analysis formula. And most importantly, I'm going to show you some very practical examples so that you can see step by step how this formula is calculated, and most importantly, how you can use it to find good investment opportunities. Okay, so as you can see, here is the vertical analysis formula. And after I tell you how it is that you can calculate this formula, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some practical examples so that you can see vertical analysis being put into practice. And you will have a template that I'm going to leave a link in the description so that you could do this for any public company that you want automatically. So to start off, there's three main financial statements that a company has to report, and that is basically the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. The good thing about the vertical analysis formula is that it's super simple, but it does depend on the financial statement that you're looking at. So for the income statement, which tells you how much money a company has generated in revenues and also how much in profit it has generated, the formula is very simple. What you do is you take whatever income statement item you're looking at, so for example research and development, and you divide that by the total number of sales or the revenue reported by the company. After you do that, you can multiply that number times 100 so you can get it as a percentage, and that will basically allow you to see how much that particular item of the income statement makes up of the total revenue of the company. And then I'm going to show you later on why this becomes valuable in terms of financial analysis. Now moving on to the vertical analysis formula for the balance sheet, the concept is very similar. So you take whatever balance sheet item you're looking at, so for example cash and cash equivalents, and you divide it by the total number of assets. So this allows you to see how much this particular item makes of the total assets, which is a very important number in the balance sheet. And as well, I'm going to show you later on why this becomes useful when it comes to financial analysis for investing into stocks. So in order to show you a practical example of this vertical analysis formula, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the financial statements for Apple, and then we're going to manually calculate this ourselves. So in order to do that, there's many ways in which you could do it. However, what I recommend is that you use a tool like Y-Sheets. So this works on Excel and Google Sheets. And once you have this open, what you're going to do is you're going to enter the name of the company that you're looking to analyze. In this case, let's do Microsoft. So Microsoft is right here. Select the ticker, and then you can enter annual data or quarterly data. The same formula applies. In this case, let's just go with annual data because that's just a little bit more standard. And then after that, you can click on get data. And once you do that, what's going to happen is that you're going to get the financial growth metrics, the key metrics, the cash flow statement, the balance sheet, and the income statement of the company. And now what you can do is analyze this data right here. And you can also apply any vertical analysis formulas to this data. And then later on, what I'm going to show you is even better how you could do it with the help of a template that automatically gets all the data for you. But first, let's keep it simple. So here we have the revenue and we have all the different items of the income statement in this case. So let's calculate the vertical analysis formula for these items. What we could do is just simply click here and then insert, so that way we have a new column, and here is where we could do some of our calculations. So for example, let's say that we want to see how much of the cost of revenue makes up of the total revenue. The formula is quite simple. We take this number and divide it by this, and that's pretty much it. What's going to happen is you're going to get the decimal. Usually you have to multiply by 100 like the formula suggests right here, but in this case, because we're using Excel, if you change that to percentage, this is automatically done for you, and you can also add some more decimals. So right away we can see that this case makes up roughly 31.60% of the total revenue. So that means out of all the money that Apple, or in this case Microsoft, makes, about 31% of that money goes into the cost of the revenue. After you do that, you can also keep applying the same formula to other different values of the income statement. So let's do it to the research and development. So in this case, you take this value divided by the total revenue, and here you go, you get the answer again, and you can turn it into a percentage and add more decimals, and you can keep applying the same thing to other values. So here, let's do it for the EBITDA because that's an important metric. So we take the value and now we can compare it with the revenue, and here we go. And the cool thing about this is that you can keep comparing this with previous years. So for example, if I go here, insert a new column, now I could do the same thing that I did here, but now except with the latest data. So something that you could do instead of writing the formula from scratch, let's see if this works, but I think you can just copy this, paste it here, and let's see, there you go. And now you can see how the formula works exactly the same. So it's taking the cost of revenue, dividing it by the revenue, and here you can also see how this has changed over time. So in this case, 31.07 versus 31.60, so it's a marginal improvement. However, it's still a good thing for Microsoft. Obviously, if you look for more years, perhaps you can find some more patterns as to what's going on in terms of the performance of the company. And like I mentioned before, you could do this for the other items of the income statement as well. So in this case, we can see very similar numbers. Let's see if this is the case for the EBITDA. And yeah, very similar numbers. So in this case, we can see that the financial performance for Microsoft has been really steady. But as you can see, this was easy to conclude after we do a little bit of vertical analysis using the proper formula for the income statement. Now we're going to do that for the balance sheet. Okay, so as you can see, we have the balance sheet right here. We got it from Y Sheets, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna insert a new column. We're gonna zoom in so that you can see some of the items better. And now let's see what we want to analyze. So let's say the cash and equivalents. So in this case, we're gonna take the cash and equivalents value and we're gonna divide it by the total assets, which are right here. And in this case, this tells us that this value makes about 4% of the total assets, which you can compare with other companies as well to see if that's a good ratio, if that's a bad ratio, or whatnot. You can also do that with some other information like the inventory. This is super helpful to see like how effective is the company being, keeping its inventory as low as it can, but at the same time being able to serve as many customers as they can. So in this case, we apply the same formula, and here we go. So to me, this seems pretty efficient. However, this is a software company, so you kind of expect this, but as you can imagine, you could keep doing the same thing even for the liabilities. So let's see, out of the liabilities, the tax payables, for example. Take this divided by the total assets, and here we go. Now we get the value here. Same thing as we did with the income statement. You can keep doing this for many different years, but now what I want to share with you is the template that allows you to automatically do this for you. Okay, so as you can see, here's the vertical analysis formula template, and I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can download it. But the way that this template works is very simple. So in this case, we have, for example, in this case, all the different items of the income statement, and they're right from Y Sheets. You can apply the same template except to the balance sheet. So all you need to do is just change the values, and then everything else will be done for you. In this case, we can see we have 2022, 2021, and we have the percentage. So the percentage in this case, when you divide something by itself, that's 1, aka 100%. And then you can see the breakdown of the different items of the income statement, and you can see this for the previous year as well. So that way you could quickly identify some patterns. So for example, here there was a decrease, here there was a bit of an increase, here there was an increase as well. So you can kind of get the idea so that you can analyze a company's performance over time, either with itself or with another company. So that's what I want to share with you. Once you have a template like this, and by the way this works is that it's using Y Sheets formulas. So with the formula right here, you're basically requesting data for Apple, you're requesting the revenue, and you're requesting for the year 2022. You click enter, you get the data. So the cool thing about this is that this is dynamic. So in other words, I can now change it to Microsoft. And let's say I want to compare Apple with Microsoft. What I could simply do is just take this and let's say we want to put it here. When you copy paste it, something that you could do, which is better, is to paste as values. And now what we could do is more easily be able to tell like what the difference is in terms of the ratios. So I can go back to Apple. And here this is Microsoft, and now you can see some of the key differences. For example, Apple has way higher cost of revenue, and this makes sense, but you can also see like some of the differences in terms of the other items. And this is a really good way of analyzing companies to see like how efficient are they becoming over time in terms of the different items of their income statement or their balance sheet, and also how do they compare with other competitors. And that's what we did in the case of Microsoft versus Apple. So I hope that this template helps you, because instead of you manually collecting all the data and doing the calculations, this automatically does it for you. So there you go. Now you can use a template and the knowledge that you just learned to find better stock investment opportunities faster. Now you're an expert on the vertical analysis formula, so be sure to put this knowledge to practice and use it to analyze stocks effectively and make good investment decisions. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications on so that way you get notified every time we release a new video like this. That's gonna allow you to take your investing game to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.